Well, we're here to talk with Glenn Lurie from AT&T about the Internet of Things and wearables. Glenn, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for AT&T.
First of all, hi. Hope everybody's doing well. I run a group called Emerging Enterprises and Partnerships, which means nothing to anybody in the room. Basically, I run all the new businesses. So if you follow some of the things AT&T's been working on, whether you go back to the original iPhone deal, I still manage the Apple relationship and have from the beginning. I manage our emerging device, or Internet of Things group, which has become the new nomenclature, right? M2M, or it's all kinds of fun stuff. And then I also manage a couple of the newest businesses, which is our Digital Life, which is the first all IP-based home automation and security business in the United States, which I will get into, I imagine. Also inside of the emerging device organization is connected car, telematics. We'll probably talk a little about that today as well. And then last but not least, we just bought Cricket. We actually had launched a carrier, a separate business called AO Wireless. We've merged those two. The Cricket deal closed, and now we are a nationwide player in the no contract space. So my job is to find new businesses, incremental revenue, build them outside of the four walls of AT&T as startups, and then make a decision and see how we're doing, whether we bring it back in or we run it separate forever.
So what do you think of the Internet of Things? What do you think the potential is like there? I mean, we've heard a lot about it over the years, but it seems as though nothing really huge has come out to excite people.
Oh, come on. There's lots of huge stuff that's come out.
There's little things that have come out. People have been, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, there's rumors of watches and all sorts of cool things that I can just imagine, or things you think about every day. But what are the real opportunities in the Internet of Things and wearables from your perspective?
Well, if you start with, first of all, let's start with Internet of Things, which I think it's a newer name, right? We were calling it M2M, then we called it connected devices, call it whatever you may. But reality is there's millions of connected devices on our networks today. So we've been at this for a long, long time, whether it be car, whether it be healthcare, et cetera. Back in the day, a tablet was an emerging device, because if you go back just 5 or 6 years ago, there weren't any tablets, right? And then Apple came out with the iPad, and the world went crazy on tablets, and so that we would consider a pretty good win. But what we view this as is all the things you read, we agree. Right, we've been at this for a long time. AT&T has the most non-tablet, non-smartphone devices on our network today of anybody in the world. I think China Mobile and us are actually neck and neck. We're obviously the biggest in the US. And we still believe we're just getting started.
Right, but in terms of the companies that are all in this audience here,
sure.
A lot of these guys are looking at wearables and Internet of Things and thinking, like, where is the opportunity? Can I use it to grow? Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of it's, all sizzle, no steak is what I've heard from a couple of people, at least that I've talked to today. And so the question I have for you is, what kind of investment is AT&T making in wearables? What kind of investment are you making in Internet of Things?
So we've made huge investments. We have attacked this space really from a perspective of each vertical. Because when you think about it, every one of these verticals is different. If you want to look at telematics, the car industry is its own ecosystem. And then you start saying, well, what about healthcare? Own ecosystem. Let's talk about the time tablets and computing, own ecosystem. So we've invested in by vertical. So if you want to talk wearables, which we can get into, wearables is new, right? Wearables is something that everybody's talking about on the horizon. What's going to happen when you're wearing one on your wrist right now, which obviously is a Bluetooth. Looks like we're in the Samsung device. We see this as a tremendous opportunity. I don't know, and you guys can yell and scream and chime in, but wearables is going to go a whole bunch of places. Because people want to talk, well, is wearables Google Glass? Is wearables a fuel band that's connected? Is wearables a watch? Is wearables an ankle bracelet on my 15-year-old daughter? What is a wearable? Is wearables healthcare? And the answer is it's all those things.
So what do you think is going to be the most successful wearables device, and when do you think it's going to come out?
I think the coolest stuff, first of all, our belief at AT&T and mine is a wearable has to be a standalone device first and foremost. So anything that's backpacked to a smartphone through Bluetooth or any other way, to me, it doesn't solve the problem. The problem that needs to be solved is it needs to be an independent device. It needs to do something different for the end user, for people to buy it en masse. Those are coming, and they're coming quickly.
And when are they coming? And who's making them?
I can't tell you that, but I'll tell you that there's lots of people. Well, there are people that have come out. I think some of the largest players, whether it's Samsung, we just launched AT&T and LG device that is a Bluetooth device on Android. We just announced it this week. There's going to be iterations. There's going to be learning, just like anything else. And as those iterations happen, you're going to see players come out and take a risk. And that risk will be a risk of a 4G device that's independent. I think if you really think about it, the wellness area is probably the first place. The workout, opportunity, right? The ability to have a device that you don't have to plug in anything, that knows you started your run, that allows you to social network all the things that you do, has your music on it, and is an independent device. To me, that might be a good place to start.
So Glenn, when can we expect a device like that from AT&T?
I think you'll see devices like that this year. I
Really?
think you'll see devices this year. I think you'll see devices that are independent and work with the smartphone both. I think you'll see devices that are very user-friendly. I'm a big believer that no matter what we build with our partners and come out with, it's got to be simple. And today, you guys can argue with me, and I'd love to have the debate. Somebody show me a device today that's simple to use, that's easy and simple and clean, and really solves the problems that people are asking to solve. And the reason we haven't seen millions or hundreds of millions sold is because they're not there yet. But they're going to get there. And then the question becomes, if you have a 4G device on your wrist, what else is to be attached to on your body? Why couldn't you have digital bandages? Why couldn't you have other things that are doing vitals, things for aging in place? And you start to really go, and it's extensible into so many other areas. That's why we believe, as I hope you all do, this is a real area, and just like tablets, it's going to all of a sudden explode.
Do you think that ecosystem's going to explode in the way that the iPhone caused the mobile app ecosystem to explode? I mean, thinking about it, for years before the iPhone existed, before it was even a sort of a thing that Steve Jobs was really thinking about. There was Palm, and there was RIM, and there were Symbian devices, and there was the Nokia communicator back in the early days. These were things that people had been working on for many years, and then all of a sudden this device came and it changed everything.
Yeah.
What will be the device that changes everything for the wearables ecosystem?
I remind folks, and you and I have talked about this, that anybody own the first iPhone that came out 7 years ago? The 2G, no app store, and you guys all thought it was cool, but remember, it took a while for that even to take off, right? And once the 3G iPhone came out a year later, the App Store was born, and all of a sudden the device got to $199, and you saw the hockey stick happen, and all of a sudden it took over, and smartphones became the cool new thing. The same thing's got to happen here. You have to have time and maturation and learning, and then that device will hit. The one thing I will say about the iPhone, and one of the reasons I believe, and being in the middle of it, that it changed the world was that it was easy to use. Right? You could give an iPhone to a grandma and she knew how to use it. Unlike the 50-page book you got when you got that Palm or that Motorola device, right? And that's really what's got to happen here too. And I do believe the things that I'm seeing are pretty darn exciting.
So one of the things you mentioned just a second ago was that when the iPhone came out, didn't hockey stick right away. It sort of took a little time, and then the App Store came out, and the ecosystem started booming. And I think one of the things that the mobile ecosystem is looking towards is wearables and Internet of Things as an ecosystem that they can contribute to, that developers can contribute to make it huge. How much of an opportunity do you think there will be there for third-party app developers, retailers, and others to leverage these types of devices in the future?
Yeah, I think there's a phenomenal opportunity. And again, I'll go back to you by vertical. I'll give you an example. In January, we have our AT&T has this developers conference at CES. Many of you may have been there. We sell it out every year. We actually did the first ever hackathon on the car. Right? We did a hackathon with GM, had some incredible stuff done in 24 hours, really amazing stuff by the developers. But in that ecosystem today, you've got folks opening up SDKs for vehicles, and you're going to see more and more of that. You've got folks open up SDKs in the home, right? We can talk about all the buzz that's happening around automation in the home, but we have a product, Digital Life, that we plan on opening up. We plan on working with developers. We're doing it today. And so it is going to be piecemeal to start. It's going to be home, car, obviously smartphone, tablet, wearable. And the question is when do those come together into a single experience for the customer? I don't think that we're going to get the volumes that we want as an industry, the hundreds of millions, right, until we give a simple customer experience across the home, the car, the wearable, the office. When we get there, our customers will vote with their wallets, and we'll see it.
Well, and I think also developers will vote for their wallets.
Absolutely.
As well. I think the part of the I think sort of struggle in Internet of Things and also in wearables has been that really the opportunity looks great. It does sparkle quite a lot, and developers like bright shiny objects. But in terms of actually getting down to the meat and potatoes, like if you're an app developer, you're not going to be developing for a wearables platform unless you really feel that it can scale. And so one of the things I think is kind of interesting about AT&T is you guys have sort of built platforms, or you're trying to build platforms, it sounds like, around some of your Internet of Things initiatives, specifically around digital life. Can you talk a little bit about what your plans are for digital life and allowing others to sort of build on that platform?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So first of all, we love developers. We have lots of tools. We've been voted the best to work with. We're very proud of that. We have work to do.
You put on a good DevCon.
Yeah, we put on a good DevCon. And we're doing more. Actually, we're doing one at CTIA this year that we've decided to do, focused again on home and car. But to answer your question, digital life, to get in the home security and automation business in this country is harder than most people think. So if you want to do life safety, real true 24/7 monitoring, you've got to get licenses in every single state, and in some states, every county. So you need an army of attorneys to go get that done first. Then you have to pass UL certification, which took us almost a year because it's the first time they've ever certified an all IP network. So that's got to be sacred to us. We got to lock that down. And then on the stack above is where we want to open up and play and have folks come help us around automation, around door locks, cameras, obviously thermostats is very popular, especially with some of the things that Tony and Nest have done. So there's a lot of that we want to bring in. And so right now we're in the process of slowly opening it with certain partners, learning, because it's new to us, right? This is a new business for us. And you're going to see us open it up more. The car, I think, is coming even faster, because some of the OEMs want to go faster. GM made their announcements, right? Audi's made some announcements. You'll see more announcements coming from others where they want those apps developed and they're going to open theirs up. So it's happening, but like I said, it's happening by vertical.
So if you were a consumer-focused company and you were looking at these two areas, both Internet of Things and also wearables, where would you be putting your money? I mean, in terms of if you had to develop something.
I am a consumer-focused. Okay. I think that you've got to look at, again, most developers, based upon, they have to look at where the volumes are. And that's why, obviously, iOS and Android have done so well. I think we're seeing a little love with Microsoft and what they're doing. But I think they've got to go learn and understand what the volumes look like in some of these areas. And for me, I think automotive, there's some great volumes. I believe in the home, there's going to be some terrific volumes as well. Wearables is going to be interesting because you have wearables that will be focused on Android. You may, who knows, have a wearable focused on iOS. We don't know yet. But you're going to see these folks play in those areas.
We don't know that yet? I thought we knew that.
No, I don't know anything. And so we're going to see these folks play in that. And that, I think, is for the folks who have to make those decisions about what makes sense. But really, developers are going to develop with people that support them, that give them the tools they need, that give them that, in a sense, we have a hand-holding that we can do to make sure that they have what they need to be successful.
Well, you talked a little bit about having the importance of having an independent connection over a wireless network to these future devices, rather than having them connect to the smartphone. Talk a little bit more about where you see that opportunity in terms of growth. I mean, it sounds to me like a huge growth opportunity for you because you have an additional device that's connected to the wireless network. But for like companies out there, where do you see the biggest opportunity to kind of really connect with these devices?
Yeah, I think it is an opportunity for us. You know, we have mobile share, so our plans down the road are to allow people to take these devices and add them to that big bucket they already buy from us. So it is great, and it's sticky, and customers like it. The key element here is really not us. It's the customer and what they want. You know, I don't know, I work out a lot, and I'll go to the gym, and I'll see a woman like yourself with a 5-inch tablet strapped to her arm as she's running. That's really that's really not what she wants to do, right? She wants to be able to have a device, put that tablet, lock it away, put that watch or that other device on that really is a tool for her to go for a run, to have her music, to be able to get a text, to be able to potentially make an emergency phone call in that situation. That's solving a real problem.
Can you get down to numbers here? So what kind of numbers do you think that this opportunity presents for the ecosystem? I mean, is this going to be bigger than, you know, wireless, or is it going to be?
It's huge for us. It's huge for a lot of different ecosystems. Look, we don't give what we think. There's a zillion people out there saying 50 billion. I read one today on the plane that said there's going to be 250 million devices sold, and they actually were slanting towards, on the wearable side, that 150 million of those would be more healthcare related devices. Aging in place, right? For my dad or my mom who I want to put it on, I want to be able to keep track, have an accelerometer, how their vitals, all those types of things. But that was one slant that came from one group. But if you go out, everybody's got big numbers. I don't know, they're probably all wrong, right? But I do believe this is real, and we've been putting the effort and the money behind it to go there.
So can you tell us how much money you guys are putting behind it?
I cannot.
All right, I figured as much.
I'm glad you asked, but I can't.
So what are you most excited about? Which sort of vertical do you think is most exciting for both of these areas?
You know, I'll go back to where I'm real excited about the connected car. I'm excited about the connected car from a couple perspectives. First and foremost, safety. We have way too many people, especially teenagers, out texting and driving. We know that that's bad. We know it causes accidents. We have a big It Can Wait campaign. We believe technology in the car can make the car not only a safer place, but a place where you can do everything you do today with your smartphone in your hand, do it all with contextual, right, natural voice, and be able to make the car a very, very terrific, wonderful place that is productive as well as safer. And to me, you read a lot of people like talk about autonomous and all that. That's great. To me, it's about today. And the auto players are very, very focused on it. And we actually built an innovation center in Atlanta focused just on connected car. And our main focus in there is distracted driving. And how do we work with our partners to make this go away? And the way you do is with technology.
So to that end, people have their phones for a year, maybe two. I guess some people have them for longer, but in this room, probably, how many people have their phones for a year? Raise your hand. And then how many hold them on for 2 years?
How many have 4 in your pocket?
So looking from the audience, most of these guys are techies and have phones for maybe a year before they discard them. I make a decision about a car and I'm hoping to hold on to the car for several years. Yeah. How is this going to work? I mean, do you sort of think that these automakers are going to have to sort of allow both iOS and Android and maybe Windows Phone and these other OSs kind of all working in the cars? Or are they going to pick one and just go for it?
No, I actually think it's a little different than that. I think the car is going to be a device in your life. It's going to be a connected device, period. LTE device, 4G device. What you bring into the vehicle, you're talking about iOS, Android, Windows with that phone, needs to be able to connect to every car. And by the way, your smartphone in the future needs to stay in your pocket or your purse. It should never be in your hand because that means your hands aren't on the wheel. So that's where we're headed. And you can change cars 42 times. By the way, cars as a connected device will be upgradable. Right? Today, how many times you get a call, hey, come on in, we need to do a software update. In the future, that's all going to be done over the air, right? So the car is going to become a smartphone with 4 wheels. But
stop driving it soon, I hear.
Well, autonomous driving is another whole debate we can have. I'm not holding my breath on that. But I do think the work on autonomous driving is going to make the car safer and deliver more features to the vehicle. But the car has to be connected. It's got to allow you to bring in whatever device you want, to your point. And the car has to be upgradable so that you don't end up, having a car, because cars are on the road 10 to 12 years on average, and we want to make sure that car is fully functional for those 10 to 12 years.
Makes sense. Well, I know we're running out of time, but I wanted to ask you one last question.
Okay.
So you said that later on this year we can expect to see sounded like a fully independent watch of some sort.
I didn't say that you
did.
A
device, a wearable device of some sort.
Right.
Can you give us more of an indication about when we can expect that?
I can't.
All right.
What I'll tell you is it's exciting, and folks that are out there, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen in both healthcare, it's going to happen in wellness, it's going to happen, it's going to be terrific.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Glenn.
Great.
Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.